Hello, hello, hello. Forgive me if this gets off to a clunky start, but I'm a little bit out of practice in the old public speaking, you might say. So just bear with me. Get some good light. I am here to introduce myself. What am I looking for? Oh. Okay, let me just put this thing on the tripod, hang on. Okay. Where was I? I speak to you now at the turn of the tide. Hang on a minute. Okay, it's fine. I just want to say that everything I'm saying right now is completely ad-libbed. It's off the top of my imagination. I haven't prepared a speech or anything like that, because that's the way that I do things. I like to try to wing it, as it were. It makes it more authentic. So, we are at March 2021, and today I feel is an appropriate day for me to get this thing going. I am putting myself out now because people who know me might think... Oh, let me start again. The world is in a terrible state. It is clear. The things that are happening are alarming, distressing, and deeply disturbing, and lots of things are going on and have been going on that people have been trying to raise awareness of, ringing alarm bells to try to alert the world to a rising tide of fascism all over the world, really, not only in Great Britain, but today feels appropriate to me to finally speak out, because I've been quiet for a long time, and that's been intentional. Firstly, I've been quite busy. Secondly, I don't think that the time was right for me to start speaking, but now I'm going to reveal my hand, as it were, and I'm going to put this video on the internet for people to look at and watch. Listen to me speak and think. Okay? Now, I am rambling. Like I say, forgive me if this gets off to a bumpy start, but it will smooth itself out. All right, so just bear with it. Okay? I am a bit self-conscious of the fact that I've got neighbours next door, and there's my girlfriend upstairs. She doesn't know I'm doing this, and so she's probably going, "What's he saying? What's he saying?" She'll find out. She'll find out, just like everybody. So, this is a message. This is my spoken word to the world, alright? And I want you to listen to it and think about what I'm going to say. And if you want to hear more, click like and subscribe, because that's how these things work. Like I say, I've been quiet for a long time. Partly it's overwhelming, the situation that's happening, and you don't quite know what to do about it. Secondly, in my wisdom and intelligence, I have decided not to do anything yet, because the things that we're talking about are hidden and not immediately apparent to everybody, and so I suppose I've been biding my time. And now I feel like we've reached a point where it's clear, it's obvious to so many people, and now is my time to step up, alright? Because like they say, there's an old saying, the only thing that's necessary for evil to I'm not saying this very well, Somebody else will be able to say it better than me, but basically the reason why evil exists is because good people do nothing about it. And I don't want to be accused of being one of those good people who decided not to speak out and not to do anything about it. Now, when we look at the events of the world that take place, and I just want to point out, the reason why I'm saying this is because there's a law being pushed through Parliament today called the Police, Courts and Sentencing Bill or something like that by Priti Patel, one of the most disgusting women I've ever seen, in fact probably the most disgusting, but that's beside the point. I'll try to refrain from my sort of animalistic passions, and I'll just try to speak calmly about this. The reason why I'm speaking today is because I feel like the rising tide of fascism has come to such a point where it's now obvious and it's now actually important that I step up, alright? Because this is a democracy and anybody has the right to step forward and speak. And people are allowed to listen to them and think on it and go, yeah, I agree with him. Yeah, I agree with him. I want to hear more. So that's what I'm doing. I'm declaring it. What I'm doing is I'm beginning my time of being a public person. Okay? I am nervous. You might be able to tell that my mind is running off. I don't know what to say exactly. I've got lots of things that I want to say, lots of things that I want to do, and I am doing the thing that I am best at, and that is talking. Because when you read and you see the news and you see the things that are going on, it makes you want to do something, but you can't do something about it because they've got it set up in such a way that you can't do anything about it, alright? The government have got such a majority in Parliament today that they can pass any law that they want. Not only that, they've got emergency powers in place because of this coronavirus thing that give them effectively dictatorial control, alright? And this is an emergency legislation that they put in place last March, and that is to supposedly renew every 6 months based on the situation. They review it every 6 months. They say, right, carry on having another 6 months of emergency powers, and they're just about to renew it this month. At the end of this month they will renew it again for another 6 months. And I said this last year, I know what they're doing. They're going to renew it every 6 months forever, because within the next 6 months another situation will have happened where they can justify more emergency powers. And that's how this thing works. This is how these things work. Let me say, I'll step back for a moment, I have been watching this for a fucking long time. Excuse my language. I've been watching this for a very long time, okay? I'm not new to this. I've been watching this quietly and I've been studying this closely for years, okay? This thing is real. This thing is happening, alright? These people are like monstrous criminals and they've taken over the country, alright? And they are cutting up all of the freedoms and cutting up all of the laws that would protect individual human rights, and they're putting in place heavy police state powers so that they can continue to control the economy, alright? That is what they're doing. They don't want people to march on the streets. They don't want people to protest in public. That's why they're doing this. And like I say, this goes back years. I've read loads and loads and loads about this, okay? So in the initial instant, I can't share with you all the information I have, but that's why I want to start now by basically introducing myself. I've got lots and lots and lots to say. So before I start ranting off about law and politics and history and all that stuff, let me just introduce myself, right? Hello, my name is William Bannell. I want to step forward and become the new leader of the opposition to the government. I want to become a public speaker, and I want to be a democratically elected spokesperson for the rights of the people, alright? The reason for that is because I have what it takes to stick it to the man, alright? I have an ability to speak and articulate which few other people have, and when I look at the news and when I look at the things that are happening, it sends me off, and I can say things and put things into a proper explanation that make it seem obvious, alright? And I need to be there. Before, like I say, I'm not going to rant off right now. I just want to introduce you to who I am, alright? I'm a normal person. I'm not a politician. I'm not a bigwig. Haven't got like a big fancy education. These videos that I'm making are going to be totally uncut, raw. No flashy editing and all that stuff. I'm not good at all of that shit. It takes too much time. It's not what I want to do. Basically, I just want to talk. Because that is my special ability. Talking. And when you're put on the spot like this, I put myself on the spot, it can be a little bit difficult to talk, and you kind of find it like, oh, what am I saying? And it kind of sounds a bit, you know, jolted or whatever. But when I relax, I get a bit comfortable, I could talk for hours. And I'll talk about things that you would just be fascinated by. Eventually you're gonna want to sit down, put the kettle on, have a cup of tea, maybe have a little smoke and a beer, and you're going to want to just carefully, slowly absorb everything that I'm saying, alright, because I've got a lot to say and it's important now more than ever. So let me take this thing off here. I want to show you around. Oops, is it coming? There we go. Alright, firstly, here he is. Look at this boy. Look at this boy. He's a baby. He's a baby. This is my dog. That's baby boy. Okay. This is my house where I live. Let me just go outside. Here's my house. It's not my house. I rent it. But this is where I live. Number 10. As a matter of fact, that's the landlord's house just over there, but this is not about him. This is my van. My awesome van. VW Transporter. This is my front garden. Got lots of little bits and bobs coming up here. Here's a little tree which has come up. It's about a year old. I'm protecting it, and over here as well, protecting it. See, what I've done in my garden is not mow it. I let it grow and I selectively prune it and pick it, and I've found there's lots of little things. There's a tree here, have come up naturally. There's trees over here too. They're all very young, and I'm letting them grow instead of mowing the lawn like on a monthly basis. Anyway, so this is the garden. This is not about that. I built this bench out of pallets. Here we go. There's baby boy. This is the living room, or the front room, I suppose. Baby, he's excited. Come on, boy, you're stealing the show. Now, onto here, I've got a brew on. I'm not going to open it now, but because you're not supposed to let light touch it, but look. There's a big 5-gallon barrel in here, bucket, and this is it. I've put this on. I've started brewing beer. And there's another one in there. Various papers, things I've collected, I've written extensively, I've read extensively. I've got a whole stash of very good info. Computer, chair, TV, DVDs, you know, all the normal paraphernalia of just basically normal life, I should think. Posters. I'm getting off course. Here's my plants. Little squashes, I think, or courgettes, I can't remember. These are onions which I've grown from seeds. Beans, and these ones, ooh, tomatoes. I love tomatoes, and I love growing tomatoes. They're very exciting. It's not a very nice day today, unfortunately. Here is a outdoor table which I built using a door and some posts and an old fridge. This keeps it waterproof. A wood shed which I made. Here's my other shed, which is a bit cluttered at the moment, but it is functional basically. This is where I do my woodworking. Interesting fact about that window, I put that window in there. I cut a hole in the wall and put a window in it. That's right. Here's the back garden. This is where I do all the growing. Got to watch out for dog poo, unfortunately. I really don't like it when it's like this. It's all wet and slimy and ugh. Anyway, yes. So here we are. This is where I live. This is what I do. This is what I like. Okay. That's my shed. Why am I saying all of this? Why am I showing this? I suppose just because I want you to get to know me. I want you to feel like, oh, I like this guy. I can relate to this guy. You know, you see, I'm not like trying really hard to sort of prove myself or be anything special. I'm not like running in the rat race and all that stuff. I hate all of that stuff. This is the way I've lived for years. This is my chosen lifestyle, excuse me. This is my chosen lifestyle to live a life of value. Do the things that I like. Do things that I want to do. Try to be a good person, you know, good citizen. Do the right thing. Up there's a monster living upstairs, but I'm not going to go up there right now. Anyway, where are we? Let's get back to the point. Okay, here we are. Put your money where your mouth is, Will. Let me explain a little bit about what I'm doing. So, I've been studying this thing for many years now. I'm 32. And I've been watching this thing grow since I was 18. And I studied politics in A-levels and history, and throughout my time there has been many instances, a progression, as you might say, of events and circumstances which has led to today, which I have been sort of witnessing and watching. I'm not the only one, obviously. This is the reason why I'm doing this, because this is almost like a call out. Everyone who's like, yes, he's right, oh my god, he's right. Come with me, come with me. So, where do I begin? I woke up this morning and the events which are happening right now, the big event was this poor woman got murdered a few weeks ago. Her body was found. A police officer has been arrested and is being charged currently. Sarah Everard, you know the story. And then there was this vigil, and then the police shamefully and very, you know, upsettingly went in, strong-armed these women out of there, and it's kicked off this whole furore. And anyway, that's the context of what I'm talking about. In the background of that, this woman, Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, is putting through some enforcement legislation which is going to give the police greater powers to essentially break up protests, arrest people for spurious things. If you actually read the wording of this, it's sort of ambiguous, so you know, seemingly you could be arrested for doing anything if you just turn up at a protest. The wording is so ambiguous. It's like if you do an act or if you do not do an act, it is a crime. The wording of it actually says it is an offence to do an act, and then it says, or to omit from doing an act that you have been told to do, or that you knowingly you should have done it. So it's like, how are you supposed to interpret that? Basically what it means is that if an officer of the law comes along and says, everybody get the fuck away, break up this protest, and if you turn around and go, fuck you pig, he can just arrest you. Or if you just say, I'm not moving, he could arrest you, because you're in the law now, the letters of the law, it says it is an offence to do an act or not to do an act that you've been told to do by an officer. I'm paraphrasing, but basically this is being passed through Parliament today. It's currently at its first reading stage. So within the next day or two, this will eventually have gone through all of the processes of the parliamentary system. And then, yes, these new bill will become an act, and the police will have these powers. And so basically, essentially what it means is that the ability for people to come together in groups and protest and rallies and things like that has been greatly hampered. and the powers are totally in favour of the police, not in the advantage of the citizen or the individual at all. Not only that, she seems to think that the way to deal with crime and make things safer is to just increase the punishment. Now, this is going to be the topic of my talk mainly today, and because it's happening now, and this is my starting point, as it were, but there's many things about this country and about the system and about the way that it works that I want to start talking about, because I understand it and I can explain things quite well. And so, where am I going with this? Well, Priti Patel seems to think, alright, I'm just gonna just go right into this, okay? Her approach to crime and public order and things like that is old-fashioned, totally ignorant, barbaric, wrong, unsophisticated, unintelligent. Her mentality is, she has no concept of philosophy or the causes of crime or the whole divergent range of reasons why anyone would commit a crime. She just thinks, I'm going to make the country safer by making tougher sentences on criminals, because criminals make the country unsafe. Yeah. But she hasn't even bothered to peer into the causes of crime, decades going back of the poverty, mental health issues, desperation, all the things. People do not commit crimes because they think, oh well, I can get away with it. They commit crimes for a whole range of reasons. The world, she hasn't even bothered to even analyse or go into the real life of people. She doesn't know anything about the real life of people, apparently. Based on this, it seems like she has absolutely no concept of what normal, real people actually go through. You have areas of the country where their situation is so far removed from what police activity could ever solve, that this crime, this new bill, is not going to solve anything or make the country safer at all. It's like you've got an equation here. Over on this side you have the causes of crime. Yeah? They haven't changed. In fact, they're getting worse. And now you have a spike in crime activity, like a spike of knife crime or robbery or whatever it is. And then you think, oh, I'm going to solve that by making harsher punishments for people. That's going to solve the problem. It isn't going to solve the problem. The causes of crime are not even being dealt with. In fact, they're going completely ignored. And actually, they're being made worse by all of this. They've been getting worse and worse and worse for years, even before I was born, going back decades. You have areas of the country where the police just have no sway at all. It's not about law and order through policing. You have social welfare or I don't know, community access to things, opportunities for the economy, people getting jobs, all that kind of thing. These are the sort of underlying, and education as well. The schooling failures of schooling. These are the real causes of crime, and she's just going, I am following up on my promise to make the country safer. And it's yeah, but what about this? This is why it gets so frustrating, because it's if you want to try to ask someone a question, or you put a point to someone and they don't respond, all they do is forcefully repeat a statement at you that isn't I don't know, there must be a word for it. I'm going off course. Anyway, I'm losing myself. Yes, what it is that there is a long trend of the country deteriorating, and the government getting sort of more and more elevated and more centralised and more controlling and further away from reality. And actually the political situation today is completely one way. The democracy is failing, essentially. And what democracy is a divergent dichotomy a multiplicity of opinions, thoughts, ideas, people, interests. Everyone has their own individual stuff going on, and all of that is balancing in a democracy where we respect each other and we support each other and protect each other. And if someone doesn't want to take part in it, that's fine, because that's what they do. Now we're going full steam ahead into this opposite of democracy, which people call fascism. Essentially, fascism in this context is the exact opposite of democracy, and it's, oh, you, where are you? Where are your papers? What are you doing? Prove yourself, justify yourself. You haven't got the correct this, you haven't got the correct that, therefore you're going to get a fine, or therefore you're going to get arrested. You have to do what we say because we're saying it, and we got the majority because we won the vote, and you have to do what we say. That's fascism. Okay? Now if we look back, this coronavirus thing happening over the last year has eclipsed the Brexit thing that happened just before that, and the kind of mental, psychological trauma that this lockdown and coronavirus thing has basically, like, it's put a block in the timeline where you can't see around it. And during the last 12 months it's been highly disturbing and distressing, seeing things happening and you're not really sure what's happening or what's going to happen next. And now we're starting to get to a point where we seemingly are going out the other side, and then we're into a new world now. A new world, a new type of country. And what I'm saying is that Brexit thing was the most undemocratic process like you could imagine. It's textbook fascist dictatorship taking over. A radical group of fascists take over the Conservative Party, purge it of anyone who disagrees with them, runs a election campaign based on 3 words: get Brexit done, right? They don't share all the other things that they secretly are planning on doing. They're just saying, get Brexit done, get Brexit done. And everyone's so sick of this, like, 3 or 4 year kind of deadlock in the country that they're just like, alright, fine, vote for him, get him in. So we vote for Boris Johnson. He's got 65% of the vote now, so he has the majority, so now he's in charge. He can do what he likes. But it was all on the basis of get Brexit done. Now that is a clear indicator and a clear tactic of a fascist takeover, where you have like a kind of emotional, rhetorical argument based on like nationalism and feelings of pride and stuff like that. So basically you're undermining the democracy. It's an undemocratic thing, because democracy has to be people thinking and making choices consciously and with all the facts and with all the information and having a proper discourse. And they took the split vote of the referendum and they took it as a absolute, like, because they got the majority they must do it, and anybody who tried to argue with it or question it or anything got shouted down. And that's not democratic either. You have to have a proper reasoned debate with all the facts available, and there were so many things about Brexit that were not actually apparent during the referendum or before it happened that are now coming true. You're like, you didn't say that, that wasn't how it was going to be. It was essentially, what I'm saying is that it was all bullshit. It was complete and utter bullshit, and it swept up this national feeling of people in the country. And first of all they were like, yeah, we don't want to be told what to do by bureaucrats in Brussels, or oh, I'm sick and tired of these people telling us what to do. It's about our sovereignty. It's like, okay, fine, but that's totally irrelevant, really. That's completely not part of the scenario of reality. Brussels wasn't telling us what to do. It wasn't like a slave empire. It was a democratic system, a structure that kept everybody kind of organised and helped the economies kind of function smoothly and help people move around smoothly. Anyway, don't need to go into all of that. The point is that it's a textbook fascist takeover. So firstly they run a impassioned, emotional campaign which sort of goes underneath the conscious part of humans thinking and goes into their bosom, into their emotions. They get voted in on the basis of that. As soon as they get voted in, they remove everybody who's in their opposition. They purge the Tory party of people who disagree. Another fascist textbook move. And then after that, I mean, we can never know whether or not this was intended. Obviously there's conspiracy theories, but there is a remarkably coincidental turn of events that immediately after they take over the government, the coronavirus thing strikes, and because of that they give themselves emergency powers, which essentially means they don't need to refer to Parliament anymore, and they set up a dictatorship which runs out of number 10. Subsequent to all of that, lots and lots and lots of things change, and now we're at the point that we're at today. Now they're passing legislation which is going to stop public protests from happening, or is going to allow the police permanent powers to break up protests based on ambiguous terminology such as annoyance. If you cause annoyance, it's a crime. So basically now the police can walk into a group, a mob or whatever, and say, everybody, you've got to get out of here because, you know, you're not supposed to be doing this or that or the other. And if they turn around and say, we're just, you know, we're protesting about the thing or whatever it is that we're protesting about this time, and you can go, right, I'm putting you under arrest based on this law. You've caused serious annoyance because you're trampling on this woman's flowers or whatever it is, or you've graffitied on the side of a memorial. And so we have definitely moved away from a sort of a democratic structure into a fascistic structure, and this is the reason why I'm speaking now. And like I say, please forgive me if this is sort of, you know, a bit rambling and seemingly aimless, which it sort of is, but I'm trying to make a point. Essentially, this is how democracies are supposed to work. You talk about it, you have a discussion, you put your side of the argument across to the other person so that they can think about it and respond or not or whatever. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree and part ways, that's fine. The opposite of that is where you have to like beat the other person into submission by various means of like name calling or just shouting really loud, banging your hands on the table. Yeah, this is it. This is like a what do you call it? Metaphor, I suppose. This is how the Brexit thing was, right? You got a husband and a wife. One wants to go one way and one wants to go the other. And the wife is saying, no, let's not go that way, let's go this way because, you know, it would be quicker, or I want to go past my house or whatever. She's calmly talking, and the husband's going, but I don't want to go that way, I don't want to go that way, and he starts hitting his hand on the dashboard like, I don't want to, I want to go this way. And the wife's like, fine, go that way then. She's been silenced. That's what happened with Brexit. You had a split vote. Half the country wanted to go one way, half the country wanted to go the other. There wasn't any proper discussion about it. They just started going, it's the will of the people. We have to do what the people say. It's the will of the British people. And that's the argument that they had. It's like, no, that doesn't mean anything. That's rhetorical. That's a slogan. That doesn't have any substance. It's not the will of the people, is it? Because the vote was in half. So you have to then mediate that result. Not go, no, we won the vote, do as you're fucking told. That's fascism. Anyway, I digress. Back to the point. So I just felt like I had to do that. My name's William Bennell. I'm introducing myself to you, the world, the people of the world. If you want to hear more of what I can talk about and what I can say, what I have studied, what I have learned, what I'm proposing to do, click the like button, share this around, say, hey, there's a new man on the scene, a new figure, and I'm totally prepared to stick my neck out into the world now, because I've been biding my time. I'm going to be accused of all of the politically incorrect things of the day. I'm going to be mansplaining. I'm going to be racist, I'm going to be homophobic, I'm going to be transphobic. I'm not any of those things, but those are the tools that this fascist thing have equipped people with. They want to deplatform people if they're politically incorrect. But the thing is that I'm not racist, I'm not transphobic, I'm not sexist, I'm not anti-Semitic, I'm not any of those things, alright? And to accuse me based on my language or the arguments that I make without thinking about it and without talking to me and getting to know me would be wrong. Everybody in a democratic society has a right to stand up and speak, and this is me doing it now. And as a first effort, maybe it wasn't that great, but I'll get better. I know I have what it takes. I can talk endlessly for hours about things. There are different modes of talking. There's one where you're trying to like preach. I'm going to try not to preach. I want to be more educational and informative and have you considered this? What about this? And if I carry on doing this, which I want to do, I want to share with you the information which I've read, the articles, the books, the facts, the history, how the political structure works, because I've studied it, how the internet is affecting the democracy and how we can use the internet effectively to change things instead of just being pushed into a corner and atomized and split up and isolated, which is actually the effect of the internet at the moment. People want to come together but they can't. And now with this new legislation, it's even harder for people to protest. It's going to be even harder for people to make political opposition. It's called dissent, and it's an essential part of a democracy. If you don't like what's going on, yeah, and you have something to say, then say it. These people who go on marches and these people who go on rallies and things like that, I've seen it so many times, right? From when I was young. There's a march or a rally or a protest every weekend. I live in Cambridge, okay? This is something we'll go into more, but during the austerity days, after David Cameron got voted in 2010, there was a protest that went past my shop every week. The trade unions, the teachers' unions, the environmentalists, you name it, I can't even think of it, but literally my experience was going to work on a Saturday and around 12 or 1 o'clock a big mob would go past all chanting and waving banners and things. Yeah, every single week. Now that taught me at a very young age that the government is making changes that people don't like, but also it told me that protesting and rallying and things does nothing. They've given you that right in order for your protest to be worthless, to be meaningless. And any time a protest gets big enough, like Extinction Rebellion or Black Lives Matter or something like that, and when it really gets big, then they start cracking down on it. They don't allow it. And that's what these laws are being passed in order to prevent. Genuine uprising. They don't want large masses of people rising against the system, fighting against injustice. They don't want it, and they're not going to allow it. And this is a process which has been happening for centuries. Okay? And we can go into the history of that a little bit more if you like. Now this is another thing. I want to invite you. I want to invite you, the viewer, the listener, the watcher, yeah, the democratic citizen, put in the comments, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Tell me more about this. That thing that you said about that. Tell me about that. Or that thing that you said about that. I disagree with that. Yeah? Do that. That's fine. That's what the comments are there for. It's possible that the comment things will just be flooded with abuse. That's fine. It might get bombarded with bot traffic, which is another thing that happens. Anytime someone stands up and talks against, usually this happens in like China and Saudi Arabia or whatever, their video gets festooned with bot comments, which are like automatically programmed to say the opposite of what they said. That's fine too. We'll go through it. I'm going to go through all of it. It's my destiny. Okay, it's my purpose. I have been waiting quietly, living my life, watching, studying, listening, thinking, talking, in private, because I knew that the time wasn't right. But now the timing is right. It's perfect. Here I am. This is me. This is what I'm doing. Alright? So fucking get used to it. If you don't like it, turn the thing off. If you do like it, click like. If you want to see more, click subscribe. If you want to know more, comment in the thing. If you like it, if you think this is good, share it with your friends. Share it around. I want to become a known figure because of this. I do. Like I said, I've known it for a long time. This is in my potential to do. And I'm not just going to sit quietly and watch the world be ruined anymore. There has to be a democratic fight back, and that fight back can't be on the streets, because that's the way they've done it. I purposefully do not get involved with those marches and things like that, because I've learned that it's not the way to go. The reason why people do that is because they find out something and it's like, oh, I want to do something about it. It's in our instinct. If you see something wrong, you want to put it right. But if you haven't got anything to do and that you come march with us, we're going to go and do a march, or we're going to go and do a rally, you go, yeah, 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 but you can't do that anymore. We have to evolve, we have to wise up, we have to educate, we have to inform, we have to discuss, we have to have talks. Talking is the way, just talking. That is the basis of democracy, and that's how it works. Now, if I can start talking, if I can talk to you, if you think, oh, this is good, I want to hear more, then somebody else can also do that. We can create a group discussion. We can start saying all the things that are wrong, pointing out the things that are wrong, and eventually, if that becomes, sort of viable, it can justifiably be put to the government as an opposition. And we're not breaking any laws. Although one thing that I definitely can be accused of is being seriously annoying. Because one of my greatest talents, boys and girls, and non-gender specific people, one of my greatest talents is arguing. I can argue forever, right? And it doesn't matter. I will always fucking argue. I had to learn not to do it when I was younger. I had to pull myself back and go, oh, you shouldn't argue about everything. But the point is that I can. I have that ability. And I would love to argue with Priti Patel. I would love to argue with Boris Johnson. I would love to argue with Matt Hancock. I would love to argue with all of them. I could argue with them. I could go toe to toe with them in the ring, physically and also verbally, mentally, philosophically, intellectually. I can go head to head with anyone, right? Just fucking watch me. So, that's it. For now, I'm going to put this out, I want to see the response, and I'm going to keep going, and there we have it. I will attempt to make regular posts and regular videos, but I'm creating essentially a new public persona, which is my real identity, and that's William Burnell. And there's no hiding anymore, there's no being shy, there's no keeping yourself quiet. People are going to have to accept me for who I am, and I've known for a long time, people who know me will recognise this. There was a point in my life when I was younger where I realised people are going to have to adjust themselves to me, not the other way around. Because I'm not doing anything wrong, and actually if you listen to me and if you put my ideas into effect, they're good. And I know that I could do wonders for the community, I could do wonders for this country if I was put into a position of power, if I was put into a position of authority, and that's what political opposition is all about. That's what democracy is all about, and the sort of political equation that I have observed and that we're living in at the moment is all in favour of one small group of people, and at the moment they're called Tories, and they have annihilated all opposition. And because everyone's doing things the way that they normally do it, they think they've won, and they think that they can do anything they like now, and they can just be open about it and just be like, you do as you're told because we're the government and we've got police powers, and if you don't do what we're telling you to do, if you don't go along with it, we're going to arrest you and put you in jail for 10 years. And that's wrong. That's totally wrong, and I will not stand for it. So, let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's start the fight back.